Okay, Tammy, I have 7:07. We'll call the meeting to order. Did everybody have a chance to review the previous minutes?
Would make a motion to accept the minutes as emailed out. No correction.
I'll second that. I will second that.
Was I at that meeting? No, I don't think so.
Motion has been made and seconded. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
And I abstained because I wasn't at the meeting.
Financial report. Tom said he wasn't gonna be able to make it, but he sent us a breakdown here with his information. He says, sorry, I cannot attend this meeting, the evening meeting due to prior obligations, but he does plan on attending Wednesdays, which is more important in my opinion. Yeah, you weren't here to discuss that, were you?
Nope. I should have.
We have a meeting Wednesday.
Yeah, okay.
A few, well, you guys can read it, the notes that he got us there were the questions that we had asked. And if everyone wants to just take a minute to look over that as we.
Still showing up as ARPA and we were going to try and
Yeah,
swap that.
yeah, we can talk to him about that on Wednesday. I wonder if we couldn't do that as the, cross that out and put
We said we were going to make it grant writing.
grant writing, yeah. And obviously, any questions we have tonight, we can ask of him on Wednesday. I'm sure he'd be willing to answer them. Anything jumping out at anybody, or can we move to visitors?
Josh, what was the contract for the fire department?
So that would be in the first or second page, town expenses. And it should be in there as. Did you ask for fire or?
Basically at the bottom, yeah.
Yeah,
Okay. Yeah, okay, that makes sense.
What is it?
Way down here.
Oh, right there. Thank you.
just because it's a non-negotiable,
Yeah.
it's. Any other questions?
Good.
All right. We will move on to visitors then, since we have a couple. Ginger, you're first on the list.
Hey, Ginger Parent, tonight I am representing the neighborhood of Sunset View Drive. I understand it's been brought up a couple of times before, but we're interested in having Sunset View Drive become a town road. I'm here to ask, if that's possible and how that's possible, and maybe what some alternatives are, or I have a couple of questions. Understand that right of way for the town is 25 feet from the center of the road.
Yes, I believe so.
For 3 rod
For a
road, yeah.
3 rod road, yeah.
Understand that we would need a turnaround big enough for a plow truck.
Mhm.
No, what we're not sure of is what that right of way looks like this part of my front yard, and that 25% become roadway. Like I'm gonna lose a piece of my land, or it just becomes right of way, and if town has to come in and do work, they have the right to that portion of my yard.
No, they have the right to do work in that area. So if they deem it needs ditch,
Mhm.
for instance, or if there's a tree that causes a nuisance to the road driving alley, then they'd have the right to prune that. We have the right to maintain the drivable road and do maintenance work in the 50-foot wide or 49.5-foot wide right of way. And that's measured 24.25 feet or
Yeah.
24.75 feet each side of the center line.
So it doesn't automatically become road per se.
No.
But.
No. Right, the town's not gonna come in and gravel that portion of your lawn. Yeah, that's
What's the minimum width of the town?
3 rod.
It is 3 rods.
Yeah, unless it was established in the
Before.
1700s and
Right.
The road now.
You can pass 2 cars by each other. Yeah.
you don't have an actual width though, like,
It's not like 40-something feet wide, the road.
It's not one.
It's not a 40-something foot wide road though.
I would guess it's about 24 feet wide.
So it's not a 3 rod, it's not even a 2 rod.
right, what we're saying is that if
It has
the town was to take it over,
Right.
we would have a 3 rod
road.
The
road.
right of way would.
So if that means that, center line to the edge of what is gravelled now is only 15 feet,
Right.
members on each side are losing 10.
Right.
So
They're not really losing.
Oh, well.
You still have the right to plant trees, mow grass,
Right.
whatever you want.
I'm not saying they're-
For the sake of
yeah.
the road, any maintenance is required. The town retains the right to do work within that 49.5 foot right of way.
Is 49.5 feet free road?
Yes.
Yeah.
And so would the neighborhood, be responsible for bringing the road up to what it needs, such as the turnaround and such?
Yeah, the town's not gonna do that, yeah.
You can bring it up to a town road
Yeah.
standard.
Which, is your mic on, Tammy?
Something like sticking in my mind about the deeds on that road. The different parcels. The road itself is not owned by the people, like they
Okay.
don't own the center of the road. I think Snow still owns that.
That would-
No, snow has nothing to do with it,
Um,
not anymore.
The road itself,
I don't believe so, I don't think snow has anything to do with it.
I don't think they have anything to do with it,
Okay.
but I think that road is
On the
still
deed.
owned by them, because the deeds bring it to the road. And they always kept that right of way because they kept subdividing.
Yeah. That would be,
It makes sense, yeah.
And of course, so if they did start getting taxed for that, probably wouldn't pay if they throw it up in town. So the town might end up owning that.
So I need to ask who owns the road?
You have to do some research into who owns the road, because I almost think, for some reason, we were looking at deeds for that. Cause Gary owned down
Mhm.
there,
yeah.
and I'm pretty sure that road is not owned by the property owners.
And I think that was the problem the first time that Sean Montague brought this to us.
Yeah. Yep.
That there was something about it that they opted not to continue any further because.
Like, he doesn't-
Just for the record, Tammy is speaking as a member of the Board of Listers.
Yes, yes,
Okay.
yeah.
And just as a realtor, I remember looking at those.
I there is something different about the road.
There's
I'm not
something here
sure
about.
where the water
Tell me,
line.
what did you say?
It's-
And
it's all those
you
houses.
said something about. I didn't catch what you said. See, what hap- like, if they don't pay taxes on it, which why would we? It goes to tax sale, and nobody's gonna wanna buy that, so the town ends up buying it.
Right.
Which happened to another piece of land,
Right.
and the town ends up owning. it.
Town's not interested in buying it.
Just have it.
Very.
Nobody wanted it, or they couldn't get to it.
Another issue that this brought forward was other. I don't wanna say developments, cause that's, other properties that are being subdivided and. Private driveways are being, or private roads, I don't know what you would call it really,
Right.
are being put in. To do this would set a precedence
Yes.
Right.
that. at this point, I don't know.
We'd be accepting.
Well, with the two people we have right now, we don't wanna add any more roads, but, there's that to think about also.
If it were to happen, in my opinion, you would have to have a petition signed by all members of the community,
Mhm.
okay, requesting, and you would also have to have a clear deed for the road, which would be turned over to the town
If we accept it.
if we accept it.
Tammy, can I, or anybody, so should taxes be paid on that road right now? I mean, is there some form of?
It's owned by a single entity, taxes should be paid on, it, yes.
So I would like to know if taxes have been paid.
Like, I think it's a weird thing. It's like, oh,
Well, if there's a parcel ID, I mean, if it's a,
How does Paris lead?
well, then, so what did they do? Did they subdivide it?
Up to the road.
And then like the last parcel maintained the road?
Yeah, I'd be interested in seeing
That
how
would
your
be-
deeds read, do the deeds read to the edge of the road?
they take a little.
I'm sorry, I don't know that.
I don't
None of us knew, that's why we're, yeah.
I would answer the question of whether or not the road is owned by someone else. If it says to the center line of the road, then it's just going to be an issue of the members of that Sunset Drive community giving up a through rod right away.
If it became a town
Right
road,
now.
would that affect our taxes?
Rod. Pardon?
If it became a town road, would that affect our taxes? Would it make our property more valuable, less valuable?
That would be up to the auditors, or
The
the,
lister
not the
judge,
auditors, but
yeah.
the listers, yeah.
If you only own up to the road, it wouldn't lower your taxes, that's for sure,
Yeah.
because you don't own that center piece.
I don't think it would lower the taxes either way.
I don't think it
It's the road now.
We pay someone privately to come plow it, and then we pay, one of our neighbors has an uncle or something who comes and fills in the washout spots. And it's constantly fixed a dozen times a year. And then we hire privately for plowing. For the winter.
Isn't
You're
even a
not selling
quarter
that
mile
very
long.
well. So that's the other thing is then there's a. No, and I understand that it's, and then that becomes the next issue is now the town is.
In the town, it would not be a top priority for maintenance.
No.
I
It-
completely understand.
It would have to meet the state road standards before we would even consider this.
For class 3,
Class 3 road, yes.
yes. So that's another thing I would look up is class 3 road standards.
What's the width of it? Is it okay that it's half the width of a three rod road?
No, what we would do is we would require it to be a 3-rod road.
Right, so. they
That
have
way,
to
if
extend
anything,
the road.
yeah, they would have to extend the width.
No.
No.
Get that one.
No, the state standards will give you the road width,
Correct,
okay? We just have the right to work within that 50-foot strip.
correct.
The road does
Yeah.
not have to be 50 feet wide.
Because there are other places in town that the road is narrower than that, but it is an understanding that from the center.
Most of the roads are 3-rod roads are somewhere around 24 feet wide.
Yeah.
So
And how big would the turnaround have to be to the town truck?
That's a
Depends
map.
on who's driving.
depends on which truck does it too.
Yeah,
It's the length.
and then,
longer
then you
truck.
turn into the whole other issue is that, does it become? Then as it's a town road, then does the bus company have to service said road? And then do you need an area big enough to turn around a school bus? Not that the school buses that Bakersfield's getting right now are that long, but,
No, but you're right.
huh?
The graders are pretty long.
Graders are long, but I mean,
Big turnaround
yeah, decent turnaround is gonna be.
at the end, cul-de-sac, whatever you want to call
How long is that road, Ginger?
I am 150, and then there's two houses, but 300, I think, is Sean and Jenny's house.
it. But what's the length, do you think? Quarter mile?
Be saying about
150 is, sorry.
3/10 of, yeah.
That's a lot.
Okay.
So my next question is, if as a neighborhood, we decide that we don't want to go through with this and figure it out, and we decide as a neighborhood to just pave a private road, would that require permits from the town to?
Are you sure?
I don't
I'm
believe
not quite
so.
sure about that,
You can pave your private driveway.
Yeah, I don't think it would. Yeah.
but that's not driveway.
I would, that would be a great question for Brian.
Yeah. that's what I said,
Yep.
zone again.
That's not, yeah, that's his specialty. That's not necessarily our specialty. I wouldn't want to give an answer and then be wrong.
Lie within that
Like
road
the
before you pave
turnoff
it
is
too.
right at the corner of the market for Brendan when he plows, there's a turnoff.
Right, but what's the, there must be a line feeding each of the houses, so just,
Mhm.
you know, where is that line? If it's in the middle of your paved road and something breaks, you're gonna dig your pavement up, that's all I'm saying.
Right, yeah, well, same thing with it being a town road. You
With the
start
same with the
pounding,
town road, right?
you
that's
start
what I'm saying.
pounding a
Yeah. you start
couple
pounding
ton
over
truck
it, yeah.
over that, and it's not buried to specs for.
I don't think there's any.
I think it's a 4-inch main that goes out through there.
I'm not sure how he ran the water.
I think it's a.
I know that, yeah, it goes to the hydrant, and then I'm not sure how he did it from the hydrant.
Where's mine?
My house. I wonder.
Does that cross under the road?
And it crossing, yeah, that's what.
So that would be one thing, and I'm sure it's probably in the prints.
Right.
Snow probably has that somewhere. But that would be another thing to think about if you were gonna ask for it to be a town road. These pipes that service the town here cross,
Mhm.
they don't run under, and
Mhm.
there's reasons for that. They're sleeved and they're embedded in a, you know, I don't want to say a cushion, but there's more than likely sand around them so that when it compacts and it can flex a little bit. Now, if that didn't happen with where you are and all of a sudden we start pounding over it with a, you know,
Truck or a grader or
Yeah.
whatever, right?
you know, a truck loaded with sand is not light, you know, so I mean,
So what I'm getting is there's multiple steps to making your town road. And the neighborhood is responsible for each one of those. We need to present it to the town as a gift. All wrapped up nice, we've met all the requirements.
yes.
And work through the zoning administration.
And work through with zoning and
It's acceptable.
Any idea what it would cost? Any idea?
Don't know what's wrong with the road.
um,
Don't know what has to be done to the road. It's a little hard
that,
to figure it out.
that would be a great question for Mac.
Yeah.
Or you could probably call somebody like Tetros.
Mhm.
They could probably tell you, you know, what it costs to build.
Right.
Probably by the mile. They could
Mhm.
probably give you a rough estimate of what it costs them to build, knowing that they own their own pit and everything, but. To bring it from the standard it's at now, I haven't been out it.
Mhm.
But to meet what it needs to meet. That's a crapshoot. It, you know, it really depends on what kind of state it's in.
Mhm.
Well, if it's like the rest of. On top of the rich town here, it's all sand.
It's all sand.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying.
It's well drained, you don't need
Right.
A lot of drainage.
Right? As long as there was a good base put down,
Right.
it really
That's-
depends
that's
on
the
that.
key, yeah.
Keys the base and then of course the blacktop they use.
Well, yeah, if
The
you,
weight of the trucks, otherwise you're just gonna groove.
Well, it doesn't necessarily have to be blacktop because
Oh,
of town,
she was talking blacktop.
they,
Yeah.
yeah,
if you blacktop it, that puts us into a class 2.
I'm just saying, if you've kept the road and blacktop it, you wanna make sure that it can withstand the weight of the vehicles that are gonna be on it. You're talking about, but even a fire truck rolling down there, it's gonna cut grooves and it's
They
What
take
is
some
the
gravel.
line that goes to that hydrant?
What's that?
The hydrant that's there?
It comes, if you look, it comes off from, and I'm not sure that it doesn't go right down the middle of that road. The way you look at it.
Where it's placed, it would
Yeah.
almost make sense that it does.
Yeah.
That's,
I don't know.
that's what I was
Matt
afraid
will
of.
Tell you where it's tied in from
Yeah.
on the opposite.
And Mac
side
could
of the road.
probably, I would imagine Mac had to approve where it was run.
Right,
Mac could probably tell you everything about that water system out through there.
it's either on the edge or in the middle.
That's-
That's the two places.
Really good, good thing you got that guy. I tell you.
Honest, back to the deed thing, because it just came up in my mind,
Yeah.
so. Let's say that Snow owns it, I don't think he does, but if he does, and nothing's been done with it for the 5 years I've been there. Even longer or whatever.
Your association could buy it from you.
Well, we don't have an association. Right.
That's
You would have to see what
Yeah.
you would have to see what's in your deed
Deed, yeah.
as a right of way maintenance.
Yeah.
And if nobody has been paying taxes on it, does it like go up for auction or how does that?
Yeah,
No, taxes on it, it was brought to the listers that this is a piece of land that
Right.
is owned by a person and doesn't have a parcel number, and hasn't been paying taxes on it, then they would create a parcel
Right.
number. and they-
yeah, we can play the letters
Right.
game all night. First step, find out who owns the road.
Right, that's.
And then work from there.
Yeah.
All right, thank you for the information.
no problem. You were part of that same conversation. That was. No, I just wanted to make sure, no, I just wanted to make sure you weren't another case. Okay. Alex is not here today.
Nope.
Heather, do you have a topic that you would like to bring up?
Yes, sorry, can you guys see me now? I should.
Now,
We cannot see you.
you see a wonderful block.
We can hear you though. Oh,
Okay,
there you go.
okay, sorry about that. I had to work tonight, so I'm working at the same time, sorry. So we had our ZBA meeting last Tuesday, and it was a little rough. So we're not quite sure. When we have an issue that the ZBA itself is not comfortable with without consulting a lawyer, do we have to come to the select board to have permission to select legal counsel, or can we just say, hey, we need to talk to a lawyer, we need to talk to a lawyer, and do it without permission? And if we do need permission, can I have it? We need it.
In there, because we looked at it before, remember, 4,500 they used at one.
You remember, we put all of them,
Yeah.
we talked about putting them all in the
Right.
common fund,
Right.
Yeah.
the legal fund, it's on page 2, legal.
So it shows that we have,
9,200.
as I say, $10,000 in there, spent 72 or 725.
9275, yeah.
We also have budgeted $500 for zoning expenses.
Yes,
Yeah.
So,
yes.
I don't know if we would take it out, because really,
no, it's definitely a legal thing. I am, personal opinion here, but I am all about getting legal advice before we decide on anything
Yes.
zoning related.
Okay.
At this point, considering it is mid-December, and this is for the calendar year that ends in 20 days.
Right.
I would say there shouldn't be any issues in
No.
approving this.
Yeah.
Need a motion?
I would
I
make a
would-
motion that we allow the zoning board to
Seek legal
seek
counsel,
legal counsel.
sorry.
Put words into my-
I'll second that.
Okay, motion has been made and seconded. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Right.
I need to abstain because I was sitting on the ZBA.
Yep.
That we have to seek the legal counsel for, so
Okay,
I'll abstain from it.
so vote passes 4-0. With John abstaining due to, I don't know if that's conflict of interest or,
But I was on the board, we need, I will say we need the council.
well, I think,
Consulted
and I
with
think-
the league.
I almost, I feel like you could vote on that as it is two of the same town, you're representing the town in both
Right.
I would
senses.
absolutely say I, if I had some kind of.
I believe he would, I would say 5-0, yes, absolutely. He's still a member of the select board, he can still be a member of the ZBA. It's just,
Yeah, there's no conflict of interest. I looked
Right.
that up because, and it's actually encouraged to have select members and planning commissioners on the ZBA board, because the planning commission's what creates the rules that the ZBA has to uphold.
right,
And then it's nice to have the select board there too, to have their input. Did you guys want a recap of what happened that night, or has everybody watched the video, or do you guys have an opinion as a select board, what your thoughts are regarding the topic?
For my edification, since I have not watched the video, could you give a brief description of what's going on?
Sure. So, the household in question is, I can't remember the address. I think it's 3180 East Bakersfield Road. It's right across from, Kurt Westcott. Is it Kurt's old place? You guys know where that is, the big farm, just before Rosalie's. And so they're building a house up on the right. They had a tiny home there. They have now put an addition on, they're building a separate home completely. What happened is their home is kind of a unique, if you guys haven't seen it yet, it has 3 separate three separate structures into the one building. And one of the ones is, the roof is at 36.5 feet on the front, and on the back, it's 44.5 feet. Our zone is currently 35, so at, the height limit. And the reason why it's at the height limit is because we have, our trucks cannot, our fire trucks cannot, we don't have a fire truck that has a ladder on it. So they have to bring out their steel ladders, lay it up against the building, and they can't reach that height. It really puts significant, and I want to express significant danger to our fire department. I get very emotional about this, I'm sorry, because they can't get there. They would have to scale half of it or crawl in through a window and hope that they're in the right area. So it really is an undue burden for them to have anything above 35 feet. They just want to be able to get on the roof. The only exceptions that I know of in town are the post office building, which is built before Sin was built, as far as I'm understanding. It's been there for a month of Sundays or two. And anything else would have been grandfathered in. There is a provision in the bylaws that allows us to grant them the variance. Granting them would mean that it can never be livable space. It would always have to be attic or unused. The big problem is you have no way of getting that fire if it reaches that area. We as a zoning board, so we made a lot of provisions. We thought we'll hit them with a penalty. We'll, require the XYZ, have the fire water come down, have building grade, fire resistant building grade, and maybe that would meet everybody's, issues concerning the building. It's already built. They already did it. The house isn't finished. It has not received its certificate of compliance. In fact, I think Brian has just denied it. But we still need to have a decision based on this with the lawyer, because that's what we promised them that we would do. I know they would probably appeal it anyways, appeal the decision to us. I don't see any way around this without legal counsel, and I don't feel comfortable as a ZBA member approving something that could come back that to hurt the town. And when I say that, I mean, say there's an individual child in that area, the fire happens, our personnel can't go out to save that child. That would be an uncomfortable feeling for me to know that I made a decision that allowed this to happen. It also sets precedence for other people that they will just keep on building what they want to build, and possibly this could be an escalation issue where it could force the town to purchase that $500,000 fire engine. We're not talking about $100,000 investment for a fire engine that has an above 35-foot ladder. We're talking 500,000. And I don't feel like it's fair. My opinion would be, I don't think it's fair to impose that on the town, because that's what's going to happen. The higher the buildings, the more we allow this, the more it's going to push the town to force them to get the correct equipment to help people in these situations. I believe it would be very uncomfortable for them to have to take the sides down to lower it to an acceptable level. But I think it could be done because at this point, we are not allowed. When I talked to VLTC, Vermont League Cities and Towns, they said we are not allowed to impose anything on them. As a ZBA board, we can only yes or no. So we can't assign them any fines. We can't conditionally grant them anything. It's, hey, do you meet the requirements, or you don't meet the requirements? The 5 requirements that she had in her thing, and her paperwork
letter.
that she gave to yeah, the letter to Brian, the VLTC guy said without reading it, he didn't read it. He said all those conditions 5, they make them so strict that nobody can really pass them. He said it would be extremely hard to justify passing them on any of those 5. He goes, now granted, I haven't read it, but I'm gonna tell you, I've seen very little people pass for those. They make them that strict for a reason. And the reason why they had the issue to begin with was the land was improper. They had to raise it up because they hit ledge. But the real reason was the trusses came in at the inappropriate size. They ordered one size, the inappropriate size got delivered to them. When they approached the contractor or the company that sold them the trusses, they said it would be another 12 to 18 months before they could get the correct one sent to them. So they tried to adjust it high enough. They cut ends down to adjust it to try and make it so it wasn't 60 feet above, or, but we're still in the position that we're in on the backside in an area where there's not going to be any way our fire crew, even at 30, even in the front, 36.5 is still a 1.5 foot. I'm not going to send my fire crew up there if I'm a fire. Just scale the extra 1.5 feet, guys. So they did say there is windows in that area that the fire department could get into. Again, that's only from one side, not from all 4 sides.
So if I
So,
could, the
mhm.
problem is not so much the house height to a degree, if we understood correctly what they explained, because they could raise the grade, the dirt up to get you. The problem is the tower they put on. So they put a lookout tower at the top, and it's clearly above the house by 10 feet or more. Right, their stairway goes so high, and then they added this lookout tower reading area as they described it with windows. So we did broach the, hey, remove the lookout tower. The concern with removing the lookout tower was they said that the roofs, the way the snow would come off, it would cause a problem. I mentioned maybe a little lean-to, that wasn't there. We talked about fire sprinkler systems. The problem we came up with what we thought was a good solution, fine for violating, because they didn't stop. They kept building when it was wrong. And then, they just said, okay, and they came after they already had this framed out. And the problem was, we hit with the league when we presented our list, and it wasn't a big list, but we had conditions on there: double fire rated rock, fire rated insulation, in that whole area, anything over 35 feet. And then they said they were going to put like another 6 inches or so of dirt. They're not a finished grade. Well, make it so that you would make the roof at 35 and raise it up, because the basement is at the first floor, and then they added 2 more floors and then this tower. The challenge was, we thought we found a solution, a potential solution, including holding the town would be held not liable, and the fire department, if anything happens, in a solution for it, trying to figure out a way, and they'd have to pay for all legal fees, which we finally came after back and forth to a number which everybody could agree on to a degree. Problem was, when Heather took it to the league to have them look at it real quick, because we get free advice from the league before we engage a lawyer. The league says, no, we can't impose fines. Brian's the only guy who can do that. We can't put conditions on it. All we do as the ZBA is say yes or no. And the individual who Heather talked to said, this is your decision, but this is something you really don't want to break. The 35 feet, I don't know if it was originally set because we can't get up there with ladders as a fire department. It's in the zoning bylaws. So, it's like, if we make this deviation and allow them to have the building at the height that they want it, we are setting a precedence for anyone else who will potentially build and then come back and go, hey, we're sorry, we went to 45, 50 feet. And it sets a precedent and puts us in a point of liability to a degree, because we've accepted it. And that's where we, as the group, we thought we were hit a point. We had the fire department's input. Ginger was here and Matt was here. We thought we hit a point that was okay. You can never occupy that space. Frankly, I wanted them to cover up, because they have a ladder to go up there, just seal off the whole floor and call it a day. But to Ginger's point, it's an empty space and that's where fire's gonna wind up. They can't get to it.
Use it anyways.
Now we gotta go to the lawyer and just have the actual legal counsel take a look at what we've hit and tell us where we stand as a town. Because and the fine, we were doing a flat fine according to it, and correct me if I'm wrong, Heather, the league said that it's a daily fine that the zoning board, the zoning administrator imposes on them for every day that's out of compliance, that they get fined every day so much money until they fix it. And to fix it, they
Yeah,
gotta pay the town.
it's once Brian has denied it and they're in receipt of the denial, as far as what I remember from VLTC saying, is that and he even said that it's not illegal to keep building. What they did was legally right, but they better make sure that they're going to be able to get a variance. So he said, you can always keep doing what you're doing. It's not illegal to keep building, but if we don't grant them a variance, then we go back from the day that it was built and out of compliance and
Right.
can charge them from that time. So,
And according to Heather, remind me, I think you said that we have already denied a few people who've requested to go above 35 feet in the past.
that's what I've heard as a rumor. I've personally never sat on any board, but I've heard that other people have wanted variations of this height and they were denied. But I've personally not sat or not, I don't know any names unless somebody else knows names, that can share, because if I have that detail, if the board has denied, if the board has denied in previous past, I would love to know that, because I could hand that over to the lawyer as a precedent that had already been set, that we've already denied others. So if anybody is aware of anything of that, I was going to try and dig into the file cabinet tomorrow and see if because I've only been on the board for a couple of years. So there was just been, I think this is our third case, and none of it was height related. So if anybody knows, just let me know so I can dig it up and send it to the lawyer and have
But
that.
Heather, the post office wasn't denied by the town, but as a state fire marshal, we stopped the reconstruction of that post office until it was fully sprinklered. So that's why the 30
Okay.
foot was allowed at that point, because they are fully sprinklered now.
Okay.
So all
So
the
is that what?
egress in
so-
each apartment is fully sprinkled.
And we talk about sprinkler systems
Mhm.
times.
Yeah.
And there was a
So what's
concern.
gonna
Go ahead.
What's gonna have to happen is, when we redo the bylaws next year, we either remove that the variance out, and say there's no, absolutely, we're not playing this game.
Yep.
Or you add to it and say, if you meet this criteria, if you do this, you're gonna have to dole out the 10 criteria of what you would make any other building go through above that structure, when we don't have a town truck that can get us up there. So it would have to be done, because when we were adjusting and giving them conditions, what we were really doing was trying to redo the bylaws, which we're not allowed to do.
Right.
So we can only interpret what the current law allows us. So we could make an interpretation to allow it because of the attic space. But what really should have happened is these people should have gone directly to the planning commission and asked the planning commission, hey, does this look like it's gonna fly? The planning commission would have said no, or yeah, or whatever they would have said, and it wouldn't have had to have gotten to us. And I think what's handy to know is that the next time something like this happens is probably to point the people to the planning commission first, maybe, and have them look at it and interpret what their thoughts are before it comes to ZBA, because once it comes to us, then I'm going to tell you, if I were a ZBA member, I want everything backed up by a lawyer. I don't want to be interpreting, making somebody tear their house down, costing a family 50 grand, or on the other hand, putting the town by saying yes and putting the town at risk, possibly putting children's innocent lives at risk. There's too many, it's just too much for me, and I'm not that smart. I wish I was. But I'm not. I don't know the legal background for everything. So I guess I shouldn't say smart. I'm not that like confident in my
So the,
stuff.
the town of Georgia is going through something very similar. They just had, they actually have approved it, but they've got some elderly housing that's gonna go in that is taller than the ladder truck they currently own. And my understanding is there's impact fees that come in play then.
Yeah.
And the impact fees they're gonna provide the fire department the additional funds that they'll need to get the appropriate sized ladder apparatus to reach those buildings. So that's another way sometimes that they get handled. Is through the.
Yeah.
impact.
That's a great idea.
It sounded like we've agreed that
Yeah.
legal counsel should be
Definitely.
thought, and it sounds
Okay.
like a rush. I mean, that
Approved.
this needs to be dealt with pretty
Right.
quickly, is that correct?
Yeah.
We-
Mhm.
Will you be meeting again as the ZBA?
Once we hear from the legal counsel, because we have to go back and Heather's already emailed them, followed up with a text to make sure they knew the email was there telling them that, you're not in compliance and, do what you want, but we would suggest you hold up on building. They have a builder's loan and it comes due
Do in
June,
yeah.
and that's where they're stuck. Yeah, and we tried everything, we talked about, and I literally said to him several times, when you hit these problems, you should have stopped. You stop and you figure it out, but that's hindsight, they kept going.
Yeah.
Uh,
So it sounds like they know what they need to do. Heather is
Mhm.
on it as far as legal counsel goes. Will the meeting have to be warned? Is it a 2-week? To warn the next
You
meeting.
don't have to do it to deny, even if you decide to deny.
Right,
That's what
we
I
have
think,
to,
there has to be
actually,
a
because
meeting.
we were told what we did is not
Legal.
within
Within the
the realm that we're allowed to do.
So
We have to
Heather,
have another meeting, just, if anything, just to deny.
will you let us know, Heather, what the attorney says, and we'll, just to keep us in
Yeah.
the.
I'm sorry,
It's a 15.
15.
right,
In the messenger.
So I would think legally they would have to appeal it now that Brian's denied it. Legally, they'd have to bring it to us, so I'll remind them of that if they want to proceed, this is what has to be done. I'll reach out to the lawyer tomorrow regarding this issue and let all parties know. Does the select board have an opinion of this?
I think we need to
Subject.
hear from legal counsel and see what the
Okay.
attorney says.
but ultimately, it's the ZBA who's gonna make the decision, we can make suggestions.
Right.
Yeah,
About opinion, but ultimately, and I was only pulled on the ZBA because they're short a member, they pulled me in as an interim to help, because they needed.
thank you.
Thank you, Heather. Pulled me in as a third body.
No, makes
So,
sense.
yeah, so, and that was another thing that came up, because we were discussing how the ZBA is formed, and does it need, is this elected positions? Or, are they appointed positions? Because Brenda appointed the ZBA back in twenty twenty-two. But we weren't sure if that's an elected position, and if it's an elected position, nobody's run for it
Right.
since pre-twenty twenty-two.
I think it
I
was
thought that
appointed by the
was, I
select.
think it's appointed by I thought it was appointed by the zoning board, zoning committee.
It's approved by
Um,
the select board. Okay.
I didn't know what the topic was here. Now that I know what we're discussing and everything, as you've probably noticed, I've been fairly quiet. I'm going to abstain from any decisions or discussions on this topic as I work with one of the owners of the property
Yeah.
and conflict of interest, so.
Okay.
Just
Yeah.
putting that out there so that it's public knowledge,
It's the
so,
appropriate thing.
yep, so.
Thank you so much, Heather. I know this has been a lot of work on your
Yes.
part and a lot of stress, so. you should-
Good job.
Thank you. I did not sleep well for the weekend. I was like stressing. 'cause- Oh,
And John, thank you for stepping in.
Yes.
That was,
John, here, thank you.
Thank you. I appreciate it.
Thank you. And that's
Thank
it.
Thank
thank you, Heather.
Thank you, Heather. All right, up next, Mac, you made it just in time.
Roads. He's not.
Roads.
Okay, right while he's walking up Grants, I sent an email out. I know you guys put me in charge of the MERP. Is that okay that I sign that document?
Yeah.
to get us-
That's what we, that's why we put you in charge of that.
Okay,
Yeah.
I'll sign it and get it moving.
Lance, sorry.
I'm gonna accept the MERP grant.
Didn't mean to insult you like that.
Sign with the pen, you can scan it and email it tomorrow.
Matt, since Ginger's still here, the discussion that was had during the visitors was Sunset View Drive. If she has questions as far as what needs to be done to bring it up, can she contact you? Okay.
It's a select board issue.
Yep.
Right.
Yeah, we're talking, making sure it's up to, class 3. And there was some questions on where the water line might have been run, and you would also probably be the guy that
Couldn't
would,
remember where it connected across the road to the hydrant that's at the end of the first corner.
And does-
I don't know if we put that in, that's why.
and does the water line run underneath the road? Or is it along the edge? Do you remember that? Along the edge, okay,
Towards the trailer side,
should be.
not David's side, but the other side, if I remember right, yeah.
Dig Safe would probably be your best
Yeah.
bet there. They could
Yeah.
mark it out.
Pretty straight if I remember.
Your personal line would, yes. Main line, I think, would stay on the other side of the.
Which happens here in town too. They're sleeved across the road so that they're, yeah.
So you're on public water?
Yeah. How was your weekend?
It's not one of
Physically, mentally, how you doing?
Well, that's, I don't say
cashier.
I think we had more snow in the last 4 days than we had all of last year.
Yeah, I know, true.
Obviously shorthanded. I've heard you've made some calls to no avail. I have another name. I haven't reached out to them. I haven't discussed anything at all, other than the fact that I know them and I know they used to plow. Obie Gates. He has the truck. I don't know what his retirement looks like. I don't know what he can do.
2 days a week.
Yeah. Yeah, I'm not sure what he could do, what he's willing to do. I just name of people who have been behind the wheel of a rig like that before.
Yeah.
And Wescombe said to give him a call.
Yeah, Larry said,
I know Larry has been subbing for Fairfield
Yep.
on a regular, so
Yeah.
That's why I have. Line, if you get a hold, double check.
set the hook, yank him.
I talked to him last Friday and he said,
Yeah.
give him a call.
So there's 2 more people you can reach out to. I mean, I know you're doing what you can with what you got. I did get multiple people saying, are they using the wings? Cause the roads are really narrow.
Yeah.
Yeah. The wings.
We just fixed that one.
Okay, so it was busted wing. Okay, I said if they're not using the wing, it's
Yeah.
probably got something wrong with it because,
He's been using the little truck down here with the wing.
Okay. yeah, it was mostly Egypt Road.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was all Egypt Road.
Yeah. It
Um,
was just on the truck, the
opinion.
rocket.
Okay.
So
How does the process?
When it snows, it blizzards, is that, so- what's that?
How does the process work if he finds someone that wants,
exactly.
we need an emergency
So
meeting to bring
if-
that person. See what I'm
yeah,
saying? How does
I
that
think
work?
what they would, I think, personal opinion. Mac would reach out to them if it's something they were interested in. I personally think it would be in an emergency meeting.
No,
Yeah. If there's a quorum, it counts, because, I would imagine you want to get this figured out ASAP to get boots on the ground.
Right.
We are here Wednesday,
Mhm.
so
Yeah.
today's Monday, right?
Yeah.
So I mean, if something happens tomorrow and they can come in on Wednesday. At this point, if they have behind the wheel experience. I personally am all for it. We will probably, as a select board, need to discuss. Pay and,
Seeing the benefits type of thing.
Yeah, that's the logistics.
Yeah.
Besides the-
But I think
Yeah.
this would be a sub situation because it's
This
not
is-
permanent.
yeah, this is a temp,
Sure.
part-time.
We don't need to-
Sure.
You mean workman's comp? Oh, yeah, without a doubt, yeah.
We couldn't go with that.
No, you can't, yeah.
I don't think we're talking about, healthcare.
No, and I think the ones that discussed wouldn't opt for the healthcare anyway, because I know one of them's,
Yeah,
Gets a good price from Fairfield
yeah,
with no.
with the.
and I think that's what we would have to do, because
Yeah.
we're kind of at the mercy of
Right now.
of the weather and
Right.
the people.
Yep.
Now. I guess this would be a question for you. Do you need somebody other than plowing? No,
Plowing and sanding.
plowing and sanding, right, but I mean, other than in a truck. So this is a part-time, less than 40 hours a week, unless it's a stupid week where it snows every day.
No.
Or when we go down a guy or a truck or a rain or whatever.
Do we know, do we have any guess of how long Brian's gonna be out?
I'm told 6 to 8. You've got to take off for 6 to 8 now. Physical therapy
Yeah.
after that. maybe.
So,
The winter,
can I,
the winter.
I know, it's one just.
yeah,
It's a tickle.
I think we have to call for an executive session.
Okay. I make a motion, we go to executive session.
Second.
There you go. Yeah.
I'm gonna request that Mac stays.
Yeah.
And
Executive
yeah,
session with Matt Stay.
Yeah.
To go to executive session and include Matt.
Nikki seconded.
Could you cross out the name that I said, if you put it in the minutes? Good, you didn't hear.
You didn't hear, never mind.
we'll-
No.
don't keep saying names. We will discuss that once.
Yeah.
Yeah,
We'll let you.
can we pause the recording and?
Yeah, vote.
Oh, sorry.
Yeah.
All those in favor of going, was it seconded?
Yes.
Yeah. Okay, motion's been made and seconded to go into executive session for personnel discussion. All those in favor signify by saying aye. Any opposed?
I make a motion that we exit executive session.
I'll second that.
Motion has been made and seconded. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
I,
Any opposed? Okay. Other than plowing, how are the roads? Everything's good? Ditches are good? Okay,
Reason up.
yep.
We're worried about the rain that we're gonna get a little bit.
I'd rather see rain.
I don't think you would.
Okay, it's a place to go.
Not if you've ever had to plow a road
Yeah,
Yeah,
when it's sod up.
Snow blow it,
Yeah.
but yeah, it gets muddy.
you do it backwards.
no, you guys are doing good.
But it's supposed to stay nice for a week after that.
Well, at least it'll get icy. Any others on the roads? Anybody?
No.
No? Okay. Board business, Belvedere Mountain, have we gone anywhere yet?
there is nothing to report on that.
Okay. The police contract and overview outreach. Tammy, we said to reach out. Have we heard anything back from anybody? Oh, I thought we did.
We did.
Okay,
I'm not the one.
okay,
That's good.
okay.
Right.
Yep, you're right.
Sounds good.
Yep, no, I agree. I did.
And the next meeting is December 16th.
Okay,
So,
so we will probably not be able to actually have one of those meetings until after the first of the year.
right, that's what
As I said before, Paul Talley has offered his professional advice if the town would like it.
Yep.
And I know Tom.
Yep.
Tom has also offered.
Ken Foster.
Ken Foster. Why do I keep saying Tom?
I know.
So those are two individuals that I would like to tap into resources. If anybody else knows anybody. The next meeting's the 23rd.
We don't do that. So it'll be
That's
after.
why I said it'd be after the first of the year,
And I will have some sort of, I've been looking for different contracts.
first meeting in January.
People are
Yeah.
using for these services to kind of.
Give us a,
Yeah, it uses the sample.
Picking their brains. Oh, sorry. I thought they got stalled.
I had a pen, someone borrowed it.
Now what you were referring to earlier, was that the MERP agreement?
Yes.
Okay, so signed MERP agreement that has been taken care of. Yep,
It needs to be scanned.
John just asked if we John just asked earlier if when we gave him that assignment, if we gave him the rights to sign the agreements, and that's what that was the entire point of
It
putting
was-
him in charge of
it's
it.
Just like me with the Brigham contract.
Yeah.
Or grant, excuse me.
Luno property, there's been no movement on that.
Do you have to do any reply back or again, or do they know that we're?
On the limit?
Yeah, on the Luno thing, as far,
Mm.
do they know we're still waiting for them to do their thing?
What thing?
At the last meeting we had, we kind of left it in the report. We offered them at the time was the.
At this point, like right now, you couldn't do anything on that road
No.
because of where it is, but,
I just don't want to think.
so what is we can't do anything on that until we set a precedence on the Belvedere Mountain property.
Right.
So that one's in limbo
Because of that.
because of, yeah.
I just wanted to make sure that.
We need to make sure that whatever we do across the
I
board,
agree.
so that nobody is like, well, you did this for them, but you're not doing it for us.
Precedent one.
Right, so that's kind of why that Luno property is on hold.
Stop it.
Yeah. No. We have to establish what we're gonna do on Belvedere Mountain Road
And then-
with the ATV club, with the four-wheeling club, whatever you wanna call them.
And it's
And-
gonna be spring at this point.
Oh, absolutely.
That's what I'm saying.
And what we've gone to at this point is once we establish where the road is up there. What are we, as the select board and the road crew, going to offer in assistance,
If
anything?
Right.
It may be just a permission slip to work within the town right of way. And if that's what we do on Belvedere Mountain Road, that will also be what we need to do on the Luno property.
Makes.
It's not even the Luno property, it's the road to, because their property doesn't actually connect to the part of the road in question. So reports are being filled out.
We have a question on the warrants and reports.
Okay.
Can answer.
Now is the question time.
The bill for the town's half of the streetlights.
What's it for?
Explain that, please.
That's water department.
That's the water department,
Yeah.
okay.
So we have two.
So it's not the fire department, that's Bakersfield Fire District, fire district, not fire department, sorry.
Is that the cost to run the street lights, replace them, what?
Right, that's half of.
Half the year.
And then we have a second one for 172. Cost for one light or something.
Probably one light bulb.
It says less of.
Budget building and discussion. I'm assuming, John, that we're gonna table that until Wednesday.
I'm sorry, can we bring that?
Budget.
Yeah,
for the-
table to Wednesday.
Yep. Reviewing the mail. It's my favorite part.
I'll request.
The Jimmy Kimmel. Municipal thing.
That's in hand.
This one is.
So the municipal planning grants, the planning commission is working with Emily Croft, who came to the most recent planning commission meeting. They will give their assistance in writing that grant. That is
Okay,
happening.
and that's the application process.
Yep.
Okay, perfect. Thanks.
We'll not need Alex to help with that.
Okay.
Yeah. Yes, that's what Emily said.
Oh, that's quick.
Yeah, that's the kind of, that's why I don't mind giving them money, because that's the kind of work they do for us.
Right, right.
The work they've done for us for Brigham,
They're
invaluable,
incredible.
hours and hours and hours.
The work that she had done when she came to that planning commission meeting the other night was just phenomenal.
John, I'm gonna pass this one off to you. This is the one you have to sign, yeah?
Should be all filled out, correct?
It looks to be all filled out. Vermont Association Conservation Districts Rural Fire Protection Program.
That's your dry hydrants, right?
Dry hydrants.
This is just the financial report, is this?
That's what them asking for an annual donation.
Yeah, they usually have.
Okay. Let's see where it is, where's their,
They just gave us $15,000 for that one over east. So
Really?
It's, yeah, for the one that they put in. Yeah.
Wow.
That was the cost of just the construction side, not the pipe and everything.
$200.
And all they ask us for is $200.
Huge, you've been up there, that's a huge pond.
Oh, look, they're playing right in Bakersfield, yeah, there they are. Isn't that cool?
Yeah, we,
All right, we will put that in the budget folder. Do, do, do. I like. MERP implementation award letter and grant agreement.
My hand.
Yep. No, they just like to make sure we.
They called me today. I
Yeah.
told them we had a meeting and I just said clarify something. real quick.
Okay. File that under G for good to go. This is yours. Good morning. Inquiry revealed. I think it's class 4.
Working gears.
Thanks.
Oh, this, no, we talked about this.
Okay, then file it under G.
good to go.
All right, good to go. Reviewed the mail. Brigham McAdoo, any updates?
Yeah, I had to go back on gears. Apparently we forgot to download the actual meeting, informational meeting announcement. So I had to upload that document to Gears today, and that should finish that.
Okay.
There's some.
We've already been paid.
Yep,
Yeah, so.
yep, like that.
I'm the only one that can do it.
So
That's what John is going to be facing.
my facing that, I'm sorry.
What was really fun is when Lance was doing all the work. And then he would send it to me and then I would upload it and then it wouldn't work. So I'd call Lance and be like, Lance, it didn't work. And he'd be like, well, send it back to me. It was,
This is on the-
that was fun.
Of the MERP agreement, I don't think that has anything to do with MERP.
What? Remittance. It's hardware. This is
For the bill.
previous balance, invoice, payment, invoice.
Remember, we had a Green's Ace Hardware bill for the fire department that we paid.
Oh, yeah, I was gonna say, you didn't pay the one for the string, right? Cause I told them it had to be rebuilt to
Right.
the Bakersfield golf course.
Yeah.
Remember you had
I
said
think-
that. I did stop it.
This, I'm just gonna hand this off to Tammy, because there's actually nothing on here, it just references some invoices and I don't have the invoices, so it doesn't really help me. It's a statement from Green's Ace Hardware. I think it might have just got stuck in there by accident. like it might have-
Might be asking if that's the string or.
Right, so I have-
That is, that might be-
I have one other
All the way down to the woman on the end.
in board business.
Tammy, if you can scan that and send that, can you scan that and send that to, send that in, please?
Yeah, it's the whole thing.
No, I think it's just the first like 3 pages. My signature's on the second or third page.
Send them all.
Send them all if you want.
Yeah,
Uh,
I'm serious. Create a file. I don't care if it's just a cardboard box. Keep every scrap of paperwork that has anything to do with this grant.
So we need a file box.
You will appreciate it at the end.
We need a
So
file box.
And if you want to file it in town files, fine, make a copy, put that in the town files and they keep the original.
Yeah.
In this grant file.
Bingo.
It's not in the file.
Uh-oh. That's not the one you burned. is it?
I thought we put it in there. I thought we put it in there. It should be under.
Stuffed in the bricks in the building, he's getting ready to.
Grant.
So I have one other for board business. I was contacted late last week by Mr. Matt Hall about the 911 address position. He says that he can't do it anymore. He's gonna have to, he was asking how he goes about doing it, and I told him letter of
Resignation.
yeah, that one.
Yeah.
Would be the best way to do it. He says by no means does he want to turn over a shit show to somebody, so he's not gonna turn in his letter until he gets everything that he's working on buttoned up.
Mhm.
He was talking to me and explaining like the job and like the responsibilities of said person. And I really hate to say this, but it looks like it would directly align with the zoning administration position.
In most other towns, it does.
Yeah. I'm not sure if that's something that we can say, hey, this is part of your job. Or if this is something, I don't know how that works. But the site visits, the location distances from previous or other locations, all that stuff, it's all things that have to be looked at by the zoning admin anyway.
Right.
It's literally the zoning admin goes out. They say, Matt, this is where the location is. Go look at it. Give me a 911 address.
Yeah, I think he brought that up when he was here.
Yeah.
He
last
did.
meeting or meeting before.
So, I mean,
Does that position, the 911 position, get any kind of stipend?
not at this time, I don't
Okay.
believe.
But if it was under the zoning administrator, they would be paid for their time as a zoning.
Paid for their
administrator.
hours.
It would be the compensation
Yeah.
when they're out there doing the work.
Who does the job description? We do, right? The zoning administrator.
I think
right?
the zoning,
Because they're-
No, it's-
no, I think
Like-
zoning admin
It's not the-
is, no, that's appointed.
That's here.
That's why I'm
It's
saying,
appointed.
yeah.
It's appointed. And I think the job description though is in
Is it?
the League
Yeah.
of Cities and Towns handbook. I don't know if the 911 administrator is in there. So that would be. Can you check that if you have that book open? Can you see if the 911 administrator is in that also?
So while he's looking that up, I do want to, one other thing with the zoning administrator,
Yep,
and that's revolving around twofold. That's revolving around the problem we have with the ZBA. So one of the things where I came from, and I don't think it's so much, I don't know if it's our town or other towns as well in Vermont. But when we put permits in for building structures and all, they would send, the zoning administrator would come out and check the work you were doing in the
We don't
process.
do that.
Don't think that's done up here, but what I think we need to do, specifically when building structures, is we need something a little more than them just filling out the permit form. I think there should be something that they acknowledge that the requirements for the structure in the zoning bylaws.
bylaws.
I.e. height, we should specifically call out on this, if you're building a structure, it can't be above 35 feet, things like that, because honestly, I'm not saying that any John Q. Public or Jane Q. Public person would go into the zoning bylaws and read all this stuff to a degree, but at least if it's on the permit, they get a thing, hey, you can't, if you're building a structure, it can't be above this size, you can't do this, you can't do that. That way,
I
at least
hear what you're
they fill it
saying.
out, they acknowledge that they read it.
I feel like that would make the permit application like 100 pages.
Very onerous.
I
I
don't know
think we
about
could
100 pages,
reference, we
but
could
you could-
reference the bylaws. It is your responsibility to make sure that.
Which I think that is in
That's
there.
in there. I
That's
think.
all we need to do.
It's
And I-
like a police officer. It is not the police officer's job to make you aware of the laws.
Right.
Right,
It's your
Ignorance
job to know
Responsibility.
them.
ignorance is
Exactly.
not an excuse for breaking laws. That's what I was told when I told the officer I didn't know that. Know that ignorance is not an excuse to
Yeah.
breaking the law.
it's exactly true.
And
I hear what you're saying, John, I really do, but I think
that
we
would-
run into that situation as well if we miss something.
Yeah,
That's in there, but
Well,
that,
it-
it just becomes, it's really
At
onerous.
least if on the form it references that you have to follow all the.
And I think it
all the
does,
bylaws,
I think it
all the-
does.
we can check,
but we should.
we can check one of the permit applications out there on our way. I'm pretty sure it says,
You should-
applicant of this permit must follow all town of Bakersfield zoning bylaws. I'm pretty sure, I'm not 100%, but I'd be like 80.
I'm sure it does.
And honestly, that's what your architect and your builder are gonna be.
Right.
Right.
That's part of their job.
They're-
No, I mean, it is.
But yeah, I just,
I know,
Yeah, it's just-
I know why you're smiling.
So going back to the 911 thing, I think that also ties in very closely to the permit request for the driveway. If they have one.
And that's.
Now does-
That's
now does-
usually what kicks the state to say, okay, I need a number for this.
now does zoning have to go out and check you tell them this is an okay spot, this isn't because of whatever reasons.
Yeah.
But then does Brian go out and check or not until there's a structure?
I'm
That may-
trying to find an answer
Matt
for
will get a
that.
call from the state guy
Enforcement-
saying, I get this truck or.
It's solely the administrative officer's responsibility to bring enforcement actions against any property owner who violates any provision in the land use regulations. Though the administrative officer must enforce against known violations, the remedy sought is discretionary. No enforcement action may be taken until the administrative officer has provided a written warning to anyone suspected of an alleged violation of a bylaw. The notice must be sent by certified mail and must advise of the alleged offender. Oh,
And I know Brian sent a letter to them regarding the issue. I believe he sent them about the meeting. But apparently it didn't go to their current address. It went to Pearl Street or somewhere, their old address, they said.
Okay,
okay, the nature of the violation, obviously. That he or she has 7 days in which to cure the violation. And it says to be specific about what steps need to be taken to abate the violation. That he or she is not entitled to any additional warning notice for a violation occurring after the 7th day, and that he or she has the right to appeal the
Turn the
notice
switch on.
to the zoning board of adjustment.
You did a good job.
so I mean. As it says there, and as our bylaws are written, the bylaws are there not just to protect the town, but also the landowner. Because
Yeah.
I mean, the bylaws basically got me my permit when I was building.
It's kind of vague, and how you enforce it is,
So what?
That would be a good thing for them to see, the ZBA and our administrator, just to make sure that everybody's on the same page. But I do believe that is another meeting though. That's not,
We have to have another ZBA meeting.
Yeah.
Once we get the response from the lawyer.
yep, okay. So as far as the Matt Hall thing,
911.
911 address coordinator, 911 coordinator, whatever you wanna call it. I guess we'll talk with Brian and see,
Brian,
well,
Maggie.
Well, he's already up there. Matt's already up there inspecting it. Right?
Matt has 2 feet right now.
What's that?
Matt has 2 feet.
Yeah, but well,
yeah, but we're not talking about right now today. We're talking about
The long
this
term,
point
this is
forward.
how this goes.
Is this something that we're gonna want the road commissioner doing, or is it something the board zoning administrator is gonna do? As far as like who needs the 911 address? A culvert does not need a 911 address.
hell no.
The homeowners.
A building, a power company,
Right.
a Comcast has been the one that's been up his ass
Yeah.
bothering Matt lately.
Yeah.
Those 3 people directly deal with buildings.
Mhm.
I don't think a 911 address is not needed until you have a structure.
Bill, right?
So I therefore, in personal opinion, I feel like that goes with the
Zoning.
the zoning admin.
I agree.
And if that's
That's
what
where
other
it fits
towns
best.
do, it
Yeah.
sounds like it's.
Okay. So I feel like that might need to be a discussion with Brian and just be like, hey, look, this is, we've discussed this. We feel like this is a direct correlation with your job now. It may require, the town may have to say, maybe it's worth an extra $250 an hour,
No, maybe. Yeah.
I mean,
Yeah.
I hate to be that way, but that's,
That makes sense.
if you're giving more jobs, then you should be compensated as such, in my opinion, so. That makes sense?
Right.
Okay.
He's being paid for the hours he's out.
And
Right.
probably like mileage because it would be some.
It is, as well, I would assume.
There wouldn't be any more driving than he does now, though.
That's true.
You should. Absolutely. I think it's actually, we
I think
budgeted
it
for
would
it.
be good, when Matt and Brian can get together, that Matt goes over what he does, so Brian gets a full understanding.
Yes, and Matt said 100% with it, without a doubt, he's not gonna leave the guy high and dry. He's not gonna leave him with a load on the table,
Right.
and he would be more than happy to train and help said person for a while. He just, with everything he's got going, he doesn't have the capacity to do everything right now.
Yeah, and I don't know how many new houses we're putting 911 addresses to, how many a year we do.
He said his wasn't. He's been fixing some because there was an issue where some of them got mixed up. And again, he said he was gonna have that all cleaned up before he turned it over, because he
Previous
wouldn't,
person. had
Yeah.
not used it.
he said he wouldn't do that to the person taking it over.
And sometimes it's a secondary road where it comes off a road and goes into like a private
Right,
road. It's, the numbers are off, and it's the state that caught that, and so
I
they're
think-
coming back and saying, hey, you need to correct.
I almost feel like Paris Lane might have
Yeah.
been one of those, yeah.
The address was, but if you forward your mail to the same mailbox, but
Yeah.
the address is changed.
Was there any others in board business? That was all I had.
Very, very quick thing. Anytime that we have the opportunity to be proactive on days like today and last week where the snow was horrendous and people are complaining because their bit wasn't being done, if we can put something on the town crier saying, "Hey,
Yes,
bear with us,
Yep.
we're getting there, we're prioritizing roads over sidewalks, whatever that might be, I think that's.
yeah,
So
'cause
I'm happy to do that. I'm gonna talk to John about how to do that. 'Cause
I actually-
ran into that today.
I actually ran into that, was it not last week, early last week. We had a truck down.
Mm.
And I got complaints
Yeah.
over the radio in the
Mhm.
morning. And so I reached out to Mac because I can do that, because he'll just tell me to go pound sand if he doesn't like it, so. So I said, hey, what's up? We were truck down or something, you know, and he was like, yeah, actually, we are truck down. This was going on, this was going on. It's like,
Yep.
perfect. And I said that to him. I was like, probably should have told Tammy, so she
Yeah.
could have got it on the crier.
Yeah, Tammy puts it on the website, which automatically propagates it after the crier or close to it. You manually are putting it on?
It went,
The website-
but it was on there this time? It was on there last week that we were truck down?
No,
Okay,
That's something we should.
So-
start, yeah.
so I guess, so
it's not.
what we're saying though is, Mac, if we're having an issue, if we're a man down, if we're a truck down, if the grader blows up and, you know, hell freezes
Be
over,
patient,
Yeah.
Yeah.
yes,
I mean, like, someone said that to me
Yeah.
today, oh, if I'd have known,
Yeah.
I
Yeah.
felt better
Oh, that
about it,
makes sense.
yeah.
you know, so.
So, yeah, Tammy, I mean, you could even put it out there as kind of like almost like a help wanted, like,
Yep.
we're a man down. Bear with us, we're doing the best we can. If anybody in town that has experience behind the wheel of the plow is interested. We are,
Please call.
we are looking for temporary help
No,
with a CDL.
hopefully we have an answer for that by Wednesday, because you're gonna reach out to
Yeah.
the two folks.
With the CDO and experience about the plow.
Yeah.
Yeah. I almost called you. I was like, I had a couple days off. I was like, I could go push snow. And then I was like, no, never mind. I don't want to do that.
Somebody asked me, off the weekends?
Yeah.
Yeah, I like that idea. I think that would be.
I think we should adjourn the meeting. We might need to have a motion that we adjourn the meeting.
I second. Yeah, everybody else seconded it.
Hang on, I lost the mouse. There it is.
Ever. Everybody else.
We also-
Thank you. And we all voted yes.
I like that.
Hang on, I can't shut the recording off the mouse.
They don't say, oh, hang on, what happened? Oh, they left.
So, Todd, how do you, what do the numbers represent?